Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Bill Angel is with us today talking about a controversial topic. I told you before we came on, we had a poll on First Edition asking folks what they would call the baseball team out of Cleveland this coming season, Guardians, Indians, or Tribe. Overwhelmingly, it was still Indians. So there is that sense that people don't want that. But you feel that the same rules should apply on some level to high school teams, right?
More so in high school.
More
because
so?
you can always, if you're living in a community like Cleveland, you can decide whether or not to root for the team or not.
Sure.
But if you're a student in a high school, you're stuck with that nickname. And so I think it's even more important in high schools, especially those that have Native American mascots, to have a conversation about what to do about their mascots.
Yeah, we have quite a few of them around here. I know one of the things that people will throw out, and you tell me if this has merit, is simply the cost. If you're a professional team, costs of making these changes and uniforms and all that kind of thing, not a big deal. But if you're a high school team, that could be very prohibitive.
Yeah, it's a matter of branding. You know, how are you going to brand it? How are you going to get it out there? What are you going to do with the old paraphernalia? I mean, all that is part of it too.
Yeah, there seems like there's a much lower inclination though for people to do that at the high school level. And you've heard, we've had some meetings locally where folks were upset about that and said this name should be changed, but there seems like there's less of it. Do you find that?
I think, considering the controversy we've had over mask wearing, you know, I think it seems like it's down the line, but the fact of the matter is, there are 195 high schools in Ohio that have Native American mascots. That's the largest of any state in the country.
Is that right?
That's
okay.
Right. But only 1/10 of the school population, 1/10 of 1% of the school population is actually of Native American heritage. So, and the problem is, it's totally hysterical. You take a slice of Native American history, and it's 19th century Indian fighters, Indians, warriors, and it's totally historical. It doesn't consider the broad span of Native American history, the cultural contributions they've made, and also, by the way, the fact that it was white people who took away their land and moved them away and marginalized them as a people. So, I mean, all that is part of the history too.
Well, and that brings up a good point, because I've heard people make the argument that we shouldn't even think about these things unless a Native American group comes forward and says, we feel this is insensitive. Is there any merit to that, or is it inherently bad?
They've done that.
Right.
They've done that time after time after time after time, and each time they get kind of said, don't bother us, kid.
Don't bother us, we got things to do, yeah.
Yeah, and so it becomes very frustrating. And the fact is that Ohio has absolutely no federally recognized Native American tribes living in the state. So it makes it even less of an issue in Ohio than it is in other places. Places like South Dakota or North Dakota, where you have actual tribal groups living there, it becomes less of an issue and less intense in Ohio than it is elsewhere.
One argument I heard people talking about, if these teams were to work with Native American groups to come up with something related to their heritage, that could still be a name related to them. Have you heard of that, or is there anything that would work under that
I'm
category?
not sure there was anything that would work because of the ahistorical business. I mean, the fact of the matter is that, and it is the truth of the history is that they were first people. That's what they call themselves. They were first people, and they were pushed away and replaced by Europeans, and that is essentially an essential part you just can't get around very easily. Yeah,
here's the discussion I had with someone the other day, and I thought there were merits on both sides. If you talk about the local level and teams that represent or talk about have mascots that are related to Native Americans, how far do you go in that? If you are Vikings, certainly we're in a kind group, you know, pillaged a village or two, you know.
I did some Ancestry.com research recently. I'm 1% Norse. 1% Norse. There you go. So, but that's just it. It's Norwegian. Yeah. So there's a culture there you can connect to, not just the Viking culture. Okay. And we're aware of that. But I think here it's much different, because the fact of the matter is, I think there is the whole notion of the genocide issue and the way that Native Americans have been treated in our culture. And I think it's just time to move on. And schools have done it. I mean, Cincinnati Country Day changed its name to the Nighthawks recently. It used to be called the Indians. And so teams have done it. Other schools have done it. We're just having a conversation here in Ohio that's just starting to have, and that's simply what I think needs to be done.
Yeah, see what happens. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good seeing you. Don't go away. Medical news coming up next on Noon Edition.